Okay, so as I mentioned, we're going to be doing some automation for certain Python scripts, so they can be running online on a continuous basis, and we don't have to worry about running it every time and so on. So this is going to be a full tutorial. Some of the details are going to be familiar for some of you, some won't. So bear with me on those parts. But I just want it to be like as minimal as possible, so you can get started with it. And hopefully, we can build a library of scripts that everyone can share and work together with. So I'm going to start with a very, very simple thing. I'm going to write a script that prints the time. Okay. So datetime dot UTC now gives me the current time, year, month, day, hour, minute, second, and nanosecond. So I'm going to call this now as a variable, and I'm going to print the time is now. Okay, so every time I run this, so it's now like 7:24 on GMT time. Now it's 7:31, etc. Okay, now what I want to do is put this updated time in a file that gets the latest date every time I run this. Okay, so with open, I'm going to create a file called dates.txt, and the mode of the file is append text. So this is very important. You can put W for write. Append means we're going to put this at the end of the file, not overwrite it. Okay, as file, that's the name of the file, and Python's print statement can print to a file. So the file is equal to file, this one over here. Okay, so let me see what happens over here. I'm going to run this over here, import datetime, create this, and create this file. So now we have a file called dates.txt, and indeed it printed the time is now whatever, 20, 23, 10, 12, and so on. So if I run it again and again, so 2 times I ran it, I get two more lines telling me that what the time is at the moment. So that's a very simple script that does a very simple thing. It goes out, discovers, collects some data, and appends it to a file that builds in time. And hopefully this is useful later on. This is a very simple script, and we're going to do. But I just want to clarify the process of automating it. So let's write a file called printdates.py. This is a command in Jupyter. You can just copy and paste it. So I have a Python file over here with the same code. Okay. Cool. Now let's do a quick review of very basic command line commands. This command line, this terminal is the same as, let's say, this terminal, where you say host google.com and you get its IP address, or it's the same thing, but it's just within the Jupyter Lab interface, so we can see everything together. So basic stuff, print working directory. Where am I working? Well, this is my working directory over here. This is the same as going into something over here. I go into the downloads. My current working directory here is downloads, the same thing over here. We can list the files that we have with ls. And these are the files that I have, which you can see over here. You can concatenate files. So for example, dates.txt, you can do it like this. You have the option of concatenation with the line numbers. So you can see the lines over here. You can see word count of dates. So I have 3 lines, 18 words, and 129 characters in this file. I can do the same thing with printdates.py and so on. So we have the cat command, we have the wc command, and we have another command called Python. So the Python command can be used to run a Python script. So let's see what happens if I run Python on printdates.py. Okay, so I don't get any output, which means no errors are there. Let me run this command again, cat with n dates.text, and we have 4 lines over here instead of 3. Okay, which means we ran the print dates script, and it ran correctly as expected, and it gathered, collected some data and added it to the end of the file as expected. So if you run this 1, 2, 3 more times, and we concatenate that thing over again, we have 7 lines of text in the file. Okay, so right now what I want to do is put this script print dates .py on a server that is connected to the internet 24 hours and that is on all the time. I can do it on my laptop, but I turn it on and off. Sometimes I go, sometimes there's no battery, and so on. So I want something that's always on and running online. So let's go online with a server that I have already created. I have it on this IP address. So there's a tool called SSH, Secure Shell, and you put your username at a certain IP address, which is a server that I've rented. I'll show you later how this can be done. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna run the same commands that I ran on the command line, but not on my computer, on this computer over here in this partition on my own username. Okay. So it's asking for my password. And let me see. Okay, welcome to Ubuntu 23.04, blah, blah, blah. This is, you can see the prompt has changed. I'm now online on the server. I'm not on my computer. Okay. So let me run ls, and it's empty. There's nothing over here. So I'm gonna, 1 second, where was that? Print dates. Okay, here it is. I'm gonna copy this code and I'm gonna go on the server. There's a text editor called Nano. Call it print dates. I'm just gonna call it print dates online so you don't confuse it with this one. But it's the same code. And I'm gonna paste the code over here. Some keyboard shortcuts to write, save, and ls, list the files that we have. Let me remove, did it run already? No. Okay, so let me run the same thing and see how it works on the server. Python print dates online, and it says command Python not found. Did you mean Python 3? So if you're not familiar with what happened between Python 2 and Python 3, there was a big mess in the transition. Python 2 was very popular. Python 3, there was an overlap between them. Anyways, so it's always safe to run Python command as Python 3. Okay, let me run it. And now ls, I have dates.text. So let me print the contents of this file. The time is now correct. It does what we did. Okay, let me run it again and again, and let me print the contents, and we have these additional lines over here. Okay, everything's clear so far. If anyone has a question or anything is not clear, please just let me know. Cool. So what we want now is a way. So we have the code that's online. We have a server. We have Python 3. All I want is every hour, every minute, or every day, just someone to come and hit enter. Just run this. There must be a tool for this. So let me I'm going to copy the command and put it here. There's a tool called Cron. So for timing and scheduling stuff on Linux. And the command is cron tab -e for edit. So, edit this file. Okay, so let me clean this up for now. Okay, so every line that that starts with a hash in Linux is just like in Python. It's a comment. So all this stuff over here is nothing. This is just comments for you to know. So the way this works is I simply copy the command that I want and paste it here. And now all I have to do is tell cron tab how often to run this command. Okay, so we have 5 date and time units that you can use. This is very, very detailed, yet very simple. Well, it could be a bit confusing sometimes, but anyways, so this is how it works. You have 5 values for minute, hour, date of month, and day of week. So I'm going to say star, 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 5 stars. So star, as you probably know, is matches anything. So every minute of every hour of every day of the week of every month, run this command. Okay, that's all there is to it. The command is there, the script is there, and I just have to tell it how often to do this. So if I do, let's say 5, that means on the 5th minute of every hour, every day, every week, and so on. Okay, we won't get into this into much detail in this right now, but let's see how it works. Now I have to save this file, and cron tab -l for listing. Yes, it's there. Okay, so let me print the file that we have, which is called dates, and we have 8 lines right now. Okay. What time is it right now? We're at the 58th second of the minute. So once this has passed, and we've already scheduled the script to run, it should have run. Okay, it's running fine. So we have 8 lines over here. Now we have 9 lines. Okay, so now I have a process that's running online on a server that's connected to the internet, that's on, that doesn't get turned off, and every minute it's collecting data for me and adding it to this data set. Obviously, it's a useless script, but the idea is, I think, I just want to clarify the idea. Let's check again. Date, we're at the 44th second now. If you're as impatient as me, you're going to keep doing this until the minute passes. Okay, so now we're at second 0. Let's concatenate and print the dates.py, and indeed we have 10 lines over here. So the process is running, and looks fine. So I'm going to leave it now. I have this process that's going to run every minute. Now let's try to do something a bit more useful. Okay, so I have a script over here that I created. It gets the date time, it imports advertools, it creates a variable called Google, and a variable called name, which its value is Google, a sitemap URL, which is this, and then it creates sitemap.df, which converts this to a data frame, collects the sitemap. Recursive equals false means just get the sitemap index and don't go into the sub sitemaps and retrieve them. Okay, and then it does the same thing with the date, and it formats the date as follows: year _ month, day, hour, minute, second. These symbols are for formatting dates and time. There's a website for this that I always refer to because I forget these all the time. You have all these values. Okay, so if you want Sunday written fully, or SUN, or weekday, all the options are here. So that's a nice string format time, I think. Okay, and then what it does is takes the sitemap.df and converts it and saves it to a CSV file, and the file is called sitemap_name, which is Google in this case, _time. Okay, so I'm going to have a file called sitemap_Google_2023_10, etc. Okay, so this is going to download the XML sitemap of Google every minute, every hour, Okay, let me start a new terminal. This terminal is running locally on my laptop. So let me move into change directory, Google Drive / Python scripts. Okay, so I'm here. Okay, so let me run Python on Google Sitemap Automated, which is the script that we just created right now. Let's see if that works. Okay, I got the log messages of what happened. Let me refresh here. And indeed, we have a CSV file called sitemap_Google, year, month, date, etc. And you can check out the contents of the file over here. Okay. So let's take this now and run it online on the server. So I'm going to copy this code over here and go to the terminal that's online, and I'm going to use the nano editor again. And what did we call it? Google Sitemap. I'm going to call it online, just so we don't confuse the one that's over here. And okay, cool. Now, what I did with when I ran Python 3, I used the system Python. So this server, the Linux server, has Python, the programming language, installed on it by default, and it's there for it to use it. So we shouldn't usually use. I just use it for a simple thing to just print the date and time. So that's one reason we don't want to use the system Python. The other reason is I want to create something that is reproducible. Okay, there's a very important phenomenon in working with computers, and it's called it works on my computer. And there's a counter phenomenon called it doesn't work on my computer, and then you and I are gonna fight because it works on my computer, doesn't work on yours. So there's something with Python and all programming languages called virtual environments in Python. It might have a different name in other languages. And what I want to do is create a simple environment where I can share it with you and say, look, if you want to run this script, you have to make sure you're in this environment. And this environment it consists of two main things. An installation of Python with a certain version. So I'm going to tell you, make sure you install Python 3.11 or 3.12 or whatever, and install these packages with these versions. Okay, so you're in the same environment as I'm here, and then we can talk the same language. Okay, so let me do that. So Linux has a utility called apt-get install Python 3.11. Okay, that's the command to install a certain package. Okay, what did I get? It says permission denied. Okay, you do not have permissions to run this code on this server. Okay, so I do have these permissions. So I'm going to say, look, I'm a sudo user, super user do. So please allow me to install stuff. This is when you temporarily want to do admin stuff, and this is for safety and security. So I'm saying, don't worry, I'm a sudo user. And then it says, well, prove it. So give me your username so I can see that you're a sudo user. So I'm entering my password. And okay, now it approved me reading packages. 3.11 is already the newest version, so I have it installed. Okay. So I'm going to create a Python environment here, which is done like this, Python 3.11, because that's the version I want. I'm going to use the module venv, which is virtual environment, and I'm going to name my environment whatever I want. Okay, so based on the project that you have, I'm going to call it SEO environment. So it's creating the environment now. It's going to be a Python 3.11, and the environment is going to be called SEO env. So let's see what files and folders we have. We have dates, as we did. We have the Google Sitemap online, and we have the print dates online. And now we have a new folder with the environment. Okay. Let's check up on our progress over here on the dates.txt. So it's running 17 times so far. Okay, everything looks good. It's working. Cool. So let me activate this environment. So the way it does is you use source SEO env, and there's underneath that there's a bin directory, and underneath that there's a script called activate to activate this environment. So when I hit this and it's actually activated, I can see my prompt change here with parentheses, and now I know where I'm running my Python. Okay, so when I ask it which Python I'm running, it says home/username/seoenv/bin/python. Okay, so when I run Python now, it's going to be running this version of Python, which obviously means I can have like 10 different versions of Python running on my server, and I can switch between them for various projects and so on. Okay, so I'm going to run. Do I have pip? Yes. Okay, pip install advertools into this environment. Let me see how it's going. Okay. So now we said the virtual environment consists of a version of Python and a bunch of packages. So advertools, when you install it, it installs pandas, it installs scrapey, it installs a bunch of other stuff. And the way we can reproduce that is under pip, there's a freeze command, pip freeze. So now it tells me all the packages that I have in this environment with the versions that are available. Okay, so what I can do here is pip freeze and save this to something called requirements.txt. And now I can share this. Let me print. Okay, so I can send you this text file and say install Python 3.11 and install these packages, and then you're in the same environment as me. You don't have to install them one by one. You can just say pip install -r requirements.txt, and that would be enough. That would install everything inside that what's it called, inside the environment. Okay, great. So let's test our script, Google Sitemap Online. I'm going to say Python. I don't need to say Python 3 because now I'm in a virtual environment. So I'm going to say Python Google Sitemap Online. Let's see if that works. It seems that it works. Yes, we have a CSV file over here that is as expected, sitemap _ Google _ year, month, date, etc. So what I want to do is take this again and schedule it to run every minute. Now, because I'm not using the system Python, I'm going to run the full path of Python in my cron file. Okay, so instead of Python, I'm going to say home/username/seoenv/python, and I'm going to use the full path to my script just to be safe. What's it called? Google Sitemap Online. Okay, so this is pretty much the same as this one, but we're being more explicit. We're using the full path of the environment, and we're using the full path of the script. Okay, so I'm going to copy this and go back to my cron tab and edit it with E. And I'm going to add another command that is going to run every minute. And that's the command. Okay, Python Google Sitemap Online. Okay, write, save, and close. And whoops. Okay, so we have this one here. What time is it now? It's the 48th second. So in 12 seconds, this script should run, and it should produce a new file here with an updated date and time and minute and second and so on. Okay, so we've passed the time, ls, and indeed we have a new sitemap that has been downloaded for us. Okay, so now, I have a server. The server is running online. I have a useless process over here, but I have a useful one over here, which collects a certain XML sitemap and downloads it and puts it in this folder, and it's going to just run every minute. Okay. Clear so far? Any questions? Any comments? Any? Okay. So I have another script. Times it here, 53. Okay, thanks, Ray. 58 seconds, 1 second. It's going to take a few seconds to run. ls, yes, we have a third sitemap that's been downloaded for us. I can just close my computer and go, and this would be running. So a more useful thing would be something like this. This is another XML sitemap script, but it's for multiple sitemaps. So you probably don't want just your client. You want the client and a bunch of competitors. So the way this can run is I create a bunch of tuples, name, URL, name, URL, name, URL, and loop through these. So you can take the script and you have to replace these. This is intentionally wrong because this doesn't exist. So because sometimes you get errors, and we want to make sure, we want to handle those errors. So for name sitemap in names sitemaps, which is this list, try to do the following. This is the same thing that we did in the simple script. Sitemap df time date and create a dynamic name sitemap underscore name, which is Google, Yahoo Topics, Bing, whatever, underscore time.csv. And if we have any exceptions, we're going to open a file called sitemaperrors.txt, and we're going to write that thing to it. Actually, I'm print this. It's good, I think, to print the sitemap as well. So let me do this. It's called sitemap. Sitemap, and we're gonna print the error over here. Okay, let's test this right now. So we have the Google sitemap, we have Yahoo Topics sitemap, and we have Bing Maps API, and we have this intentionally wrong value, just to make sure that the errors are indeed going into the sitemap errors file. And let's see if that works. So I'm back in my local machine, ls. Okay, we have sitemap automated multi. So I'm going to run Python sitemap automated multi.py, and let's see if that works. Okay, so we're getting Google, Yahoo, Bing. Here we go. We have multiple sitemaps. Remember, I just got the sitemap index. Many of these are huge, but I'm just getting the sitemap index so we don't waste time on these. And we have an error over here saying this is the URL, URL open, node name or serve name provided or not known. Great. So this is exactly what we want. We want to make sure that if we have errors, they're handled and there's a place for them, and they're mentioned in a separate file, so we can check these. So if I schedule this to run every minute it's gonna collect those data and have them together in the same place. And yeah, that's so far that's the basic thing. These scripts can be modified to do something much more useful, much more interesting, or just status code checking, and so on. Any questions so far? Anything not clear? Or okay, so let me check back on my server and we have a bunch of new Google sitemaps have been downloaded, and the work is done. Cat dates.txt. We have a lot of work that's been accomplished in this very useless script. We have 27 points of data added, so I can do the same here by adding the multi-script. Here, let's create again nano sitemap multi.py. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. And let me save that and add it to my list of Cron tab -E. Okay, so let me copy and paste this. Okay, star, 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 star. We have this environment, but this is not sitemap online. What did we call it? Sitemap underscore multi.py. Was it? Okay. So now we have 3 jobs that are gonna run every minute. The first one we talked about. The second one is just specific for Google. The third one is multiple sitemaps. Write, save, and close. Sitemap multi.py. Okay, let's see what happens here. 53rd second. Okay, so now it's running. Let's see what we have. Okay, we have sitemap Google, sitemap Yahoo Topics, yes. Sitemap Bing map API, and we have, do we have sitemap errors? Yes, we do. Okay, so another important thing that I wanted to show here, that this is very sloppy work on my side, because the files, as you can see, in 10-20 minutes, this can grow like crazy, and you can get lost between all these files. So the naming convention that you use becomes a crucial thing. This becomes like a policy. So it's very important to create special folders for them, and know what they are, where they are, and make sure that the names are clear for everyone working on the same project. As you can see, like, this is nothing. We didn't do anything, and if I do ls1 once again, this is going to just keep growing, and so I just, watch out for these things. So I just want to spend 2-3 minutes showing you how to create this server, because this was already set up for you. I use Linode, but you can use anything else. So you can go to linode.com, log in, and create. Linode is a Linux node, which is just an SSD server, a Linux server, okay? So you choose which operating system you want. I usually take Ubuntu, put it any region that you want, whatever, makes sense for you. Whatever, Atlanta. So the prices here are very, very convenient. So you start with a smallest nanode for $5 a month, or $0.0075 per hour, which when you deactivate it, you just pay per hour. You have a gigabyte of RAM and 25 gigabytes of storage, and you can see, there's a lot of options over here. You can go up to $1,000 per month. You have high memory stuff, you have dedicated CPU, you can see what's useful for you. So I'm going to create the smallest one now. This is $5 per month. Label, okay. I have a label called delete to remember to delete these things. I'm going to create a password. Okay. And I think that should be enough. Okay, and create the Linode and see what happens. Okay, so it is provisioning my server, and now it's given me the IP address SSH root at this domain. So I'm going to copy this, and I can go to, I'm just going to wait for this to turn green when it tells me it's online. And I'll just, it's as simple as this. But I'm going to create a user, because usually it's not good to use the root to do actual work. It's a security measure. So we're waiting for this to go online. In the meantime, how many XML sitemaps do we have now? Okay. So this is growing. Okay. This is still purchasing. Okay, booting. I'll do it from here just for the sake of change. So I copied this and I pasted it now. Okay, so my server is running. Let me try and log in with the same password that I created. Too impatient. Okay, do you trust this? Yes, I do. Okay, password. Okay, and yes, I'm online on the new server that I just created 2 minutes ago, root at this domain, and so on. So it's just good not to use the root when you log in online, because the root is the most powerful user. You can do anything you want with no warnings, just delete stuff. So we want to create a new user. So add user, call myself user1, new password. Here's a new password, full name, room name. Is the confirmation correct? Yes. Okay, and I'm going to add user1 to the sudo group, adding user1 to group sudo. Okay, so now I'm going to exit as the root. Now back on my laptop, I'm going to log in again, but not with root. I'm going to log in with user1 at the same server. Password, and yes, now I'm in user1 at localhost, and you can do the same stuff that we've done so far. So yeah, that's basically it for the process. I know there are many details that might not be straightforward for many people, but you can rewatch this and see the details. But I hope this was like a complete process from writing the script to putting it online. And as you can see, our garden is full of mushrooms. Yeah, that's mainly the what I wanted to share. Do you have any comments, questions, like, dislike, suggestions? Feel free to share.
I thought it was a great start to finish process. I know personally done a little bit with Cron and task scheduling in the past, but to see everything from the Cron explanation to how you create the virtual environment on the server to which server you recommend is great. So it definitely filled some knowledge gaps on my end. Typically I would do this through my own machine, whatnot, and Cron management software, but with having this very human explanation of start to finish, I I think I'm gonna move to more of the virtual environment and give this a shot. But yeah, greatly appreciated. Ray had a question, but you had answered it. He had to hop off. Linode, yeah, have you ever used renderer.com for any?
I know about it. I think it's I haven't used it, so I don't want to talk much
Understandable.
about it. But I think
Sounds good.
it's good. I've seen
Mhm.
the website and so on. I mean, what we need here is a very basic
Mhm.
Linux server. That's it.
Yep.
You just
Yep.
install Python with a command. And I forgot to mention one thing. Let me go back to cron tab here. So this, I mentioned star, 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 star. which is every minute. Now, typically you don't want to run jobs every minute. You don't want to like, look, this is a bit too much. So the syntax is can be a bit tricky. Luckily, we have a nice syntax for the most useful ones. So instead of 5 stars, you can say hourly. Okay, so you can say hourly Python myscript.py. So it would run once every hour. Or you can say at daily, weekly, and monthly. So these are probably the most useful things. If you get stuck with this, there's a nice website called crontab.guru, which allows you, explains these things, and this gives you like a random configuration. If you put 4, 5, 4 star star star, it means at 5 minutes past 4 every day, every month, every day of the week. Okay, if so this at 005 in August only. So, I mean, most of these very detailed things are more useful for very large systems, for software engineers, system administrators. But in our case, I think, these are more than enough. Hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, annually is, I think, what we is enough for everyone to use.
Can I ask you a question on the Linode shared CPU plans? Though you created the smallest one, is it possible to spin up, a large one, a Linode 128, which would typically cost me $768 a month, but just on demand to use it and then turn it off? So
Yeah.
let's say I'm running
Yeah,
a cron every morning. I only need it for an hour for a big job.
My,
Is that doable there?
That's my understanding. So it's per hour. 1 second. So once you selected your it says either $36 monthly or that much hourly. So if I didn't misunderstand you want a job that requires a lot of memory, but you don't want to spend $1,000 a month because you just want to run this for like 2-3 hours and then stop it.
Right.
I think that's I'm 99% sure, but let's double check. But I think
I'll check that. I just didn't know if that was something you were. Yeah. Okay.
But that's an important case where I want a huge machine, but I don't want it the whole month. Just maybe 20 minutes and then turn it off and destroy it and start a new one every time. But as you saw, it's just like not even 1 or 2 minutes to create it.
Ends up pretty quick. Right. Okay, great. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks. Here's the garden. Okay, cool. Hope you like this. I wanted to add some important thing that was raised after the recording, which is the fact that we have a bunch of files online and we'd like to download them, and even better than that, synchronize them with our local file system. So I'm going to introduce something called rsync, remote sync, which is a very simple and very powerful tool. So it's as it sounds. You're just synchronizing local and remote computers together. So first I'm going to create a new directory. I'm going to call it make directory sitemap files, and I'm going to change directory into sitemap files. Print working directory. Yes, I'm in sitemap files. So I'm going to say rsync, synchronize my username at this domain, and now we have to specify which files we want. So we put a colon /home / your username / okay, and where do you want to sync this with? I want to sync this with the current directory, which I represent with a dot. So let's see what happens now. Rsync username at domain name colon absolute file path. With what? With dot, with the current directory, which is this sitemap files. So I'm going to hit enter. Password. And let's see what happens. So I'm in sitemap files, ls. Okay. Let me try this again. I think I missed the star. Password. And here we go. So we have all these sitemaps that have been downloaded. We have the requirements.txt file if you want to reproduce this environment. And yeah, every time you run this, you're not going to download the whole thing. It's just going to make a comparison between the local and the remote directories and download the differences. So yeah, this is I think a key part that you can include in your workflow, and I hope you find it useful. Thank you.